into the early ban phase along with Xin Zhao. I'm expecting early Ahri prio, actually. I know it's a little bit early to call, but LeBlanc is a champ that can answer Ahri. Ahri would give you that, early engage, that go button. Also, could have been a Yone. Yone going to be taken off the table, as both LeBlanc and Xin Zhao, a couple champs that actually, can have some impact on a Yone. But I think that Ahri prio, just given what's off the board already, it actually goes up quite a bit.
Incoming Kalista Nico, the LPL's favorite bottom lane, potentially. If you are on the Ultra Prime side, there is some draft points for old Cubby. If this Rumble gets locked in here, and
for me, you called it. My point's right on Ahri Slayer. I think the Nico's coming. I'm not going to take that one away from you.
Okay, all right. Well, we do have a glorious evolution apparently coming. A lot of damage if this one gets locked in between the two solo lanes. It's what worked for Weibo last time, but in a different way, with just really indexing into AP power. I wonder how much Ultra Prime might lean to try and get some tankiness behind their composition now to deal with just a easy item path.
That's kind of the hard part about playing into Victor, is it feels like you need to play fast. And I will say, I think Galio prio actually goes up quite a bit. Like, I would love a Galio top here from Bunjung. You're playing that into Rumble, already a strong matchup, and you throw a Victor to boot on top of that. So yeah, Galio gonna be locked in. And now if we see the Nico, that does give you a way to play fast into this Victor. So I think that would actually be a really nice start here for Ultra Prime.
See if that one gets locked in nonetheless.
You got, or else it's getting banned. You got to imagine that, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And hey, that's a... Do we scale the point system like with combos? You just combo.
Yeah,
that was a combo.
we both win draft points there. Let's go. I can try and make up for the Ahri miss, That's where we're at right now.
Misfortune definitely answers the Weibo problem of, two heavy AP solo lanes. You got some good damage profile. I do worry about this pick for Light into that, quick punch you're talking about. A pretty immobile AD carry, pretty susceptible to what Nico and Galio in Tote can try and set up to make sure the ever-important bullet time that comes with this champion does not execute.
I like how you bring that up, too, because I think it's good for the lane. Like, yes, Kalista, Nico, Galio can execute upon an MF, right? You can get on top of an MF, but between the move speed buff, the power that you get early, and trying to use that to rotate around, and the R for the zone control, I don't feel like you need a ton more damage on Weibo's comp when you are showing Rumble and Victor early on, so I do like the MF for that. The one thing I will say is that I think they need a jungler or just something to deal with this tank Galio, because this Galio is set up for a lot of success this game, playing into both a Rumble and a Victor. MF is not exactly a champion that's going to shred you, especially if you are able to have a successful execution in the early part of the fight for Ultra Prime by finding the Kalista Nico combos, following up with Galio. So I do think they need a jungler that can do some damage. And so I don't really like the Poppy ban, because I still feel like they need a little bit of extra power behind Tian in order to try and deal with this Galio pick later on, because at the moment, Ultra Prime, this comp's really tough to get through in terms of Galio and Nico. That's a lot of CC and upfront just control in a fight to try and work your way through.
I do like the Weibo ban towards the Nocturne, though. It takes away the ability for Galio to kind of just follow an ally into the back line. So very good ban to take away from Junhao. The Silas is going to immediately be the lock-in as the time ticks down. Some pretty valuable ultimates. Got to think maybe that one gets locked in after you see the depth charge coming through.
And you can brawl, too. Again, the damage for Weibo, they need time. They need to scale throughout the fights. They need to scale throughout the games. So Silas kind of matches this. I'm going to, hit you in the mouth real quick early in the fight, and then we can go from there. I like this from Saber. And the Viego makes a lot of sense, too. Again, your initial fight, the start, these R keys, the control that you get is massive. You can get early picks now for Viego. I'm really interested to see what Weibo does to answer this. Again, I think they need just a little bit of something. Lee Sin's not terrible here, and it's a Tian special. I mean, it would give you a way to navigate around all these big engage options and really play mobile in the fight to support who you want. Big lack of frontline, though, for Weibo if they do end up going for this.
And you really want that frontline with a Victor, but the Lee Sin will lock in. You know what solves so many draft problems? Just outplaying on a champion that is so capable of doing it in so many facets. So I do respect Tian kind of calling the sort of saying to Ultra Prime, listen, you could get this nice comp. You got creative, but if I start cooking early on this Lee Sin, not a lot else is going to matter.
We talked a lot about jungle support duos, how they can work together. Really important for this one. Junhao, RosieLove need to sync up. These engages need to be big from RosieLove so that Junhao has space to actually get in, get the resets. Lee Sin really lacking setup in this game outside of Hong on the Nautilus, who is all you need to set up a Lee Sin if you play the fight right. So I really want to see how these jungle supports work together to find these engages, because a lot of this game is going to be about, can those R keys land? Can you get an early Viego reset? Or especially if you're Weibo, you have to find a way to kind of avoid, dodge out on these big R keys in order to try and use your own. You have a little bit more range for Weibo, but you do lack some tankiness. And I think it's going to be a little bit tougher for them to navigate this, especially against a Viego. If you're really careful early in the fight, they don't give away any early resets. If that happens, then fights are actually going to be really Ultra Prime favored. And frankly, in this best of 5, I don't think there's going to be a better draft for Ultra Prime to try and win in this one. I actually think they're set up very well for success. They can play fast. I want to see if they can really sync up and do so.
Another thing to watch for here that compares to game number 1 is this mid lane matchup. Once again, looking to see Saber take control of the period of the game that his champion is going to be most powerful. You called it out, Cubby. The Silas likes to brawl, going to want to brawl early often in this mid game, but you have to be careful. Xiaohu will just scale to infinity, even worse than the Aurora game with Victor. So got to keep an eye on that as we direct our eyes once more to Summoner's Rift.
Oh boy, big level 1. That's how we're starting things. Transition to level 1.
Hey, first blood goal, man.
Yeah. We get the cheers, and it will be Ultra Prime.
There we go.
Trying
That's
to
an
be
LPL classic.
Yeah, they're trying to be creative here. Their level 1 is really strong between the Nico transform, the engaging, and really threaten with what Ultra Prime's showing early. So Weibo going to respect that. Trade wards, respond on the other side of the map. And we'll see if we get any swaps or where we start. I will say, I think a swap this time around valuable for Weibo, as like getting breathed into a decent scenario here might be tough. The first couple levels are good for breathe. After that, it's pretty tough though for him in the matchup.
I think breathe is just it's bad either way. It's like you're either going into the tank Galio that you're never going to do damage to, or you're swapping into a Kalista Nico lane where you don't get even far. But so
maybe I don't like my idea of a swap Slayer. Maybe I'm going to give you some in-game swap points for that one. You know,
there's too many points to keep track of.
I know. Well, I'm trying to make. Well, you know, these are like our own feats of strength on the broadcast.
Oh, we're up to 3. That's true. It's starting to feel more like trying to track a credit card point system, though. I will have to be. I will have to be completely transparent.
Well, that might be a reason why I don't have enough credit cards. You know, I should have 2, at least get some miles. But gonna stick with 1 and keep it simple at the moment. And we are keeping it simple here on the Rift, as it is mirrored starts for our junglers, going red buffs and making their way towards the blue buffs each side, and also standard lanes. So one of the more normal games we've seen in LPL so far. Swap's still pretty popular.
Normal bottom lane matchup you're seeing. It is interesting that Hong opts for the Nautilus, you know, a hook-based champion. A lot of hook-based champions do struggle into that Nico. If your reaction time's on point, which we're expecting from RosieLove, you can just drop into that clone, and you really negate a lot of the setup for Hong, so that'll be interesting to track. Is we don't get a normal game for very long, is Junhao uses his bot lane prio to force a vertical jungle that Tian has no idea is happening.
Yeah, and he also based for the early longsword, might help him with a couple fights, but that blue buff is going to be long gone. So Kalista Nico, some of that power on the map already being felt, as RosieLove even going to scout to see if Tian's on the Gromp. Not the case. And it will be Viego just walking away with the 3 buff.
And they spot Tian as well, so should give the green light for Junhao to really come out with a camp lead, and boy are those ever important on a power farmer like Viego.
Yeah, do want to credit Breathe here in that 1v1. One Jung, like he overheated during the taunt. The taunt guarantees those auto attacks are still going to go through. What you want to do in this matchup is you want to E, so drop the Justice Punch. When the overheat goes in, that's what buys you space to get away from the Rumble. So One Jung not exactly playing that first trade correctly, and well played by Breathe to find that window to get a really positive trade in the windows where Rumble does do some winning. That is very early and then very, very, very late once you get 2 free items.
Props to Junhao as well. He's got prep. He had prep time. He already got a Rumble matchup, so he should be even more aware. Imagine he takes down 2 Weibo Gaming players on Rumble. That would be something to say. Yeah, I bested Breathe and Xiaohu on their Rumble.
Yeah, of course, found the 1v1 kill playing Rumble himself into the Corki, and now can take down the Rumble in the counter matchup. As this matchup, definitely a newer one that we've seen, really was popularized at Worlds. And good to see some of our players really carrying it through. As I think it's one where, I mean, logically makes a lot of sense to me. The fact that you can get that giant magic damage shield, still be a tank that isn't shredded by Rumble. And also you get the counter on the equalizer with that big R, having the magic damage shields for everyone on your team. So definitely saw a lot of success from this matchup at Worlds, and we'll see if that can continue in the new season.
A lot of early success for Xiaohu. Stopped me if you heard that one before. Victor able to get a very good wave in under that turret, forcing Saber to teleport. Also want to give him some points for the grasp Victor play here. I think that's a great answer. You can stack that one for free into that melee Silas, and your resistances you build up should help you survive the bursty comp that we highlighted from Ultra Prime later on.
Yeah, Green Tree just feels too good between...
Getting nerfed.
It should get nerfed. Overgrowth, the way it synergizes with grass, some of the other things in the kit. Oh, nice. All right, see Weibo making a little bit of a swap. Did miss that. But nice use of MF. MF with the Strut passive, you have the ability to really impact the map, choose the lanes that you want. We did see Light and Hong get the wave in bot, so they will proactively swap to the top side and should give them quite a big advantage for first grubs. We'll see if Breathe stays up here, or if he feels like he should port down at any point. At the moment, Tian is a little bit far away from where the grubs are spawning, so kind of feels like Weibo missed their timer a little bit. I know that grubs aren't up for another 8 seconds here, but Tian not on the right side of the map. And we'll see the dragon drop and a couple waves dropping for Breathe on this side of the map. So yeah, they're kind of curious here.
Even though this lane swap was spotted with that scrying plant by Saber, does look like at the end of the day, Weibo are going to grab 2 pretty early plates. Remember, with the fortification nerf on those mid and top lane turrets, it really incentivizes these lane swaps even more, as we see Breathe use that equalizer to cut down the wave for Wako and RosieLove. And Tian going to get those 3 grubs all on his own, so the monster slaying goal is even at 1 apiece between our 2 teams.
That is one of the perks of Rumble in this scenario, the fact that you can just drop equalizer and pretty much neutralize the wave or delay the timers by 1 wave. So well done by Breathe. I feel like Weibo with this draft, they're playing it out right. For me, it was just they ran it a little bit early, and Tim was a little bit late on the play, and now looking to pressure Galio off this turret. They had to bring Breathe in order to threaten this, because there's no way you can 3v1 dive the Galio. You need all the help you can get. That should be enough to at least make Junhao question whether or not he should approach this wave.
It's really intriguing how this game has developed from such a normal start to now such stark vertical lines drawn by these junglers. As Tian with Breathe are trying to set up for a potential dive. They're at least taunting it, but this is that take Galio with a taunt, as Junhao is going to land it on to Hong and able to get the wave off there. Wouldn't want to go for that if I'm Weibo anyways, but Tian is going to catch RosieLove trying to roam around, drops the entire combo. Here's the hero's entrance through from Junhao. He's going to be able to save his support as both mid laners went blow for blow with their own versions of Glorious Evolution.
I do like that play from Tian. He would have known that that was Nico because RosieLove was showing Callista but wasn't using the passive, so no passive hops. So just taking that ult trade and getting the Galio ult out, it means that they can continue to pressure the way that they are now on the top side of the map. So those plates continue to fall under Junhao's watch.
Gets down the last wave. Ooh, 1 auto short from Light grabbing it. He's going to step up and get it on his own. Actually uses the Grubby's passive to grab it. So they are really starting to stack the gold here. About 500 now, purely off a lot of that plate damage. Weibo's overkill towards the top side is a bit more bountiful, as Ultra Prime will finally swing Wako and RosieLove up there fully to try and match.
Ultra Prime, we're a little bit behind on that first turret race, so deciding to send their bot lane up there to match. We'll say that the upcoming monster buffs that will spawn, pretty similar timer between the grubs and the dragon. So interested to see really what Weibo does to get like where they want to commit MF, because Light's going to have prio wherever he's at with this item breakpoint. That BF sword being in the inventory for Light means that he's going to be able to bully whoever he finds in this laning phase. And onus will really be on him. He's going to decide what objective Weibo wants to take here in this next bout. So, yeah, curious to see if it ends up being grub prio. I don't think that Weibo's comp can use grubs like fantastically, but what we saw really evolve in the grub meta is that it doesn't matter about the split push. It matters about getting the grub advantage and stacking up and playing the 4-1 narrow setup like within top and mid just to bully down these plates and win the race because you have more grubs than the other team.
And also just accelerate that snowball that is so potent in this version of League, especially just, winning those narrow fights with, 6 grubs. You can take probably an extra turret compared to a normal scenarios, as we do start to slowly approach the next set of neutrals that could decide the race for feats of strength. It feels weird that we might reach first turret taken or one of these Monster Slayer goals before first blood, because the statistics on that have got to be pretty low.
I'm not too familiar with those actually yet. I know I was peeking some of the data. Shout out to Cagel's website that he's helping out with. It's been really nice in terms of publishing data about the boots win rate, feats of strength, some of the new features that we have in the new season. We talked about it last game with Otacon. So, yeah, something to look out for is good trade there from Xiaohu. Liked how he's saving the laser until he finds the stun on the W. It's good victory mechanics, something we expect out of a player the likes of Xiaohu.
The pedigree of Xiaohu showing, even in the gold advantage, he has got the, it's small, it's mitigating, but it's starting to build because he's nearly 30 CS. Trying to bait Saber into maybe a trade that he likes with Tian close by. I think they have enough damage to just execute Saber at that half HP mark, but Xiaohu will instead shove another wave in and give a lot of room for Tian to play for those 6 grubs that Ultra Prime don't seem even content on stopping.
I just don't think they can, as do have... my prediction was that wherever Light and Hong went, that would be where they decide to play the next objective, but with how hard mid is winning, they're just able to push Saber between both turrets and make sure that those 6 grubs go over to themselves for free. So I think they're happy to sack both dragons to find the 6 grub advantage, and man, when we've seen good teams get 6 grubs, their ability to push the map down and really snowball the game in their favor, it's made it so that 6 grubs almost feels like just the first cut of what is a death sentence. And I want to see if Weibo is still able to do that in the season.
That
nice
flash does not get away from the Pop Blossom on the edge, is able to find the kill, but with a good root and the help of that powered up turret, Hong can train out Junhao. So we'll go 1 for 1. First blood does go to Ultra Prime. They grab that goal, but it's immediately answered by Weibo as Breathe finishes off that top lane tier 1.
And that's big because each team at 2
Hello,
monster
Saber.
objectives.
Goodbye, Saber. That's the Tian Lee Sin special.
Yeah, I mean, that's just cashing in on the lead that Xiaohu's had this entire time, too. Really well done is Tian's dead. Okay.
That's Galio TPing in the taunt. I mean, I guess they went all out for that mid-tier 1 turret. They do get it in the background with plates, but that was a freebie kill back to Wenxiang. Oh, hello. Breathe wants his revenge for his jungler. He teleports behind him. Remember, you can teleport to minions now with that basic form, but a good taunt from Wenxiang, and the tankiness into the AP Bruiser especially makes it too hard to trade.
Tian?
Yeah, that's the prevailing thought for sure.
I don't know what happened there. I don't know if he autoed Galio from the taunt. That's got to be it, and then just reacted slowly, but a little bit questionable. That said, the response from Weibo afterwards, it's 2-2, and you can see they already took down 1 turret on their own, so Breathe, he's freed up. He's joined his bot lane, and this is 6 grubs at work, man. This is why 6 grubs feels like a death sentence, because these turrets just melt.
And we almost got the 15 for 15 on plates. We might still get it with the grubbies, even despite the stolen equalizer. Ultra Prime are not going to try and let them get away with
good
that.
engage.
Another good knockup onto Light, who just does not get to play the game before he drops through. How much more can Ultra Prime find on the background? Not much with Wenxiang not able to claim Tian. Weibo looking for a potential turn of their own here. It is a 4v4 as Wako shoves in that mid wave. Both teams posturing. Snare landed from RosieLove. Dredgeline back from Hong. The clone used well. Here's the Pop Blossom. Gonna pick off Hong, and the taunt comes through as well. Great synergy on the CC, and Junhao is released with his reset. Dredgeline gonna go wide here. Has the Heartbreaker, forces the flash out from Breathe as Weibo do not want to give up any more members. With Xiaohu's damage, they're looking for a turn, and Tian flies in from halfway across the stream. Junhao is down. Xiaohu's flashing forward. They want all the smoke, but they've got a Callista hopping around them. There's no angle out for Xiaohu. He's cut down. Breathe. Oh, the Flame Splitter cannot find these low health bars, and it's Light starting to step up. One auto finds RosieLove, but Saber wants to re-engage with the Abscond Abduct, does not find it. Breathe has ult coming up, but the Flame Spitter's enough to get it done. Weibo buy their time and find the trade kills, and now it's not where's Waldo, it's where's Wako. He's trying to dash his way from between the waves, gonna get executed to the turret to finish off a wacky fight between our two teams.
Oh, where's Wako had a pretty depressing end, but hey, at least it's no gold going over to Weibo as haymakers being thrown back and forth. Weibo trying to take the 4v5, and I guess in the long haul do so somewhat successfully. They're pushing really hard to make sure that this turret falls while plates are up. It's more gold for them, but love the engage coming out of Ultra Prime. Hong needs to tank this for Light, who is down flash from the last play. He needs to tank that Abscond Abduct to help Light get out of there because that connects. Jung's ult connects as well. And then with a couple big Rs being used, we decided to flip things a little bit here for Weibo. I guess they didn't know if RosieLove had this ult coming back up or not, because he pretty much cast it off cooldown in this skirmish, as he didn't have it at the start of it. But once he gets hooked in here, able to get the R off, gets a free reset over to Junhao. And then it's a lot of flashes having to be burned by Weibo to make sure that they retreat and buy time for Light to get back. Love what Tian does, though, on the back half here, as this Q connecting is wonderful, and then autos the clone to get enough energy to follow it through.
And boy, does he fly. Xiaohu got to follow his jungler, but a nice double route from RosieLove really shuts him in place. This bullet time nearly gets catastrophic value, but just not enough. Light does end up cleaning up a lot of these fights. Bloody one. Took about, gotta think, about 30 seconds off the clock, but
that was a forever fight, man. We're used to seeing those in NA. LPL's bringing them too, though. Let's go. They always bring the action here. As let's see, reset.
My God, that's a lot of spears. Root comes across. The rend is not enough. Okay. Breathe with that scrap shield does get out. But keep in mind, Weibo, they're going to secure the feats of strength, I believe, off the back of that. They should. They have 6 grubs, and yeah, so Breathe doesn't die, and it earns Weibo another game with those upgraded boots.
Yeah, I didn't like that from Ultra Prime. I feel like they need to walk towards that Rift Herald, especially because their Rs are up right now. I don't think this is a terrible timer for them to fight at all, especially if you have Breathe stuck mid. So I think a poor decision there from Ultra Prime. Good punish by Weibo, and the punish might continue, as that's a deep TP.
Oh, Breathe, you're asking for the Galio taunt. He sends himself to death, and it's slower now with the new teleport. Ultra Prime have a man advantage as they look to play for Mountain Soul. They'll be on Soul Point here if they can grab this dragon, and I just don't know if Weibo can find a way in, except for a Tian Steel Masterclass. Yeah. He's certainly looking for it.
That TP from Breathe wasn't it, I fear. And now
RosieLove. RosieLove in the background finds the 3-man Pop Blossom. Sure, Light Cleanse flashes out of it, but he leaves the rest of his crew to reap the benefits of a great setup from RosieLove. Ultra Prime are going to wipe it. Sure, the dragon gets 1 kill back, but it's an ace for Ultra Prime and Mountain Soul Point as its concierge.
And this really starts from Breathe, overplaying his hand, had no equalizer, TPs into the clutches of Jung on this Galio, who just gets the whole W and kill him. And that happens on the bot side. What happens? Ultra Prime, they push their control up the river, get RosieLove a great angle once they see Weibo commit into the river, and that Pop Blossom made sure that all of Weibo went pop in the back half. As we talked a lot about early on before this series started, jungle support syncing up, especially before this game started. Thought it was the one person can really set up the Lee Sin. But what happens here? Mistake from Breathe. Junhao gets the reset. RosieLove, look at this from him. Just sneaks his way in, being very disciplined about the vision. And then once they see the Lee Sin show, he knows his path is clear. Excellent Pop Blossom, finds 3 and gets Ultra Prime to fight. Also, gotta say, Tian and Lee Sin actually played that one out pretty well. That kick into actually finding a kill, well done from Tian. So good damage mitigation from him.
Shout out Mountain Drake for playing towards Weibo's
that too.
Weibo's wishes as well as he grabs that 1 kill, but really has given Ultra Prime such prime position. If you want to
actually,
the puns.
Here's a question: if RosieLove would have swapped to like a minion on Nico, can Dragon target a minion?
Ooh.
Like that's the kind of stuff that I get like really curious about. Like, can it hit a ward? You know, if you're able to swap to that. So I'm wondering if RosieLove should have gotten himself out of that one.
God, you know, it definitely would have to be a snap reaction, but that is a good theory that, hey, all you guys at home can maybe test out with the new practice tool available to you. It's continue to plug the new changes, but the gold lead is still in the hands of Weibo, but now the tough part for them, Cubby, you talked about the ease of execution for Ultra Prime, especially the R keys, as we like to highlight. At some point, they're going to have to go into those dangerous R keys again because you cannot afford to give up Mountain Soul, especially to a comp, highlighted by a tank Galio that will just become so hard to kill.
Yeah, I will say, like, later on, the tank Galio is going to fall off a little bit, but at this point of the game, yeah, like 2 items, it's going to be really, really difficult for Weibo to get through. So I think that Weibo, like, if this game goes late, I actually think they're going to be okay. They just have to survive the Ego resets. But at the moment, Ultra Prime actually, yeah, they're down 2.5k gold, but we've seen what their comp's capable of if they sync up these R keys. And they have decent control on the map. Like, it feels like an even game at the moment.
You know what allows them to play even more aggressive and towards their style? An Action Revive. We have another Voracious Otacon, this time spawning in the bot side of the map, and we get to play the fun game of how much does LPL actually care about this buff? Is both teams seem a lot more content playing for mid waves than playing down towards that big epic monster.
I think at the moment, Weibo are really respecting the engage of Ultra Prime. They already had control over each side lane, so they're kind of stalling mid to force Ultra Prime to respond to one of them. You can see they're going to go to the other one. So yeah, playing away from the Otacon right now, but that objective, it really feels like kind of like Baron. Like, whenever it gets started, you do have enough time to respond to it on the map, especially this early into its spawning.
Weibo do have those 6 grubs. I wonder how much they want to lean into Breathe, potentially just knocking on a tier 2 turret here as he gets a pretty stacked wave coming down his way. Teleports available to match him from Wenzhong and Saber if they want it. Ultra Prime may just force the reverse and have Weibo try and compete for them with the Akshan, or we can have another game where Weibo are willing to trade valuable turrets.
Wait, what is going on? We have, like, multiple recalls being counted. We're just giving this. We're going to 6 grub them instead. We're going to go for double Rift Crash and try and take out 3 turrets to trade for Otacon as Silas going to TP top.
Mid lane, tier 3 turret down. Wow. Base broken open by Ultra Prime. Voracious Otacon, you can see the 3 floating red orbs. All of Ultra Prime do have that revive, but as we point out so much, as powerful as this revive can be, it is useless unless you gain something from its 150-second timer.
This is really interesting. I think it's one of the first times where I've seen a team that is up in the game drop it for something strategically. So Weibo, playing the map, using their 6 grubs, using the Rift Herald, will give away the buff. And now it's going to be a game of survival. And I'm looking over at Ultra Prime. You've got the Otacon buff on your back. You have a team with Kalista, ult, and Nico in, Pop Blossom. It's your time to go, man. See what you can get done against Weibo as you try and find this upset.
Zhang only going to test his tanky ability into these 2 AP dealers as he wants to cover the tier 2 turret, but he just gets melted through, gets his revive. Hong on the other side is going to be caught. He doesn't get to go back to base as quickly as possible. RosieLove finds that kill, but Ultra Prime, they've got waves to worry about. I don't know how much they can really get off of that pick.
They're going to get Soul.
Oh,
that's what they're going for. They're going for Mountain Soul. So, going to use that. They took down the support, and this is a lot more for Weibo to get through. Mountain Dragon can be really valuable, especially on a champion like Galio. Already have so many resistances, have a magic damage shield. And you're asking a Rumble and a Victor and an MF at this point of the game to get through it. These champions need a little bit more time to get the damage to deal with that. So, again, I think Ultra Prime, next 5-10 minutes of this game, going to be so strong on the map.
Weibo continuing that respect of the engage. They know down a man. They just cannot go into that river. And like you called out, Cubby, the Mountain Soul is giving away. The revive still got a little bit of life left in it. We'll see how well Ultra Prime wants to use it as RosieLove. He's disguised as a minion. He's going to flash over Xiaohu. They're going all in for Breathe, and they burn through his health bar. So another pick found by those pivotal ARB keys as they knock down the mid 1 turret behind it as well.
Gonna try and continue the push. Tian will be spotted. He did see the control ward, but doesn't know that he's spotted under a normal ward right now as Ultra Prime. Gonna look to respond, but Tian playing this smart.
Cue the Pink Panther music as they try and figure out what Tian's master plan is here. He already took the Raptors. Tian does not have Krugs to go to, so he's just going to ward hop over. And he's done a pretty good job distracting Ultra Prime from a potential push that could have stacked up with the man advantage.
Yeah, I mean, or even just a Baron Force. Like, you have Otacon, you have Mountain Soul. I mean, if Junhao bases there, you ignore Tian and just go straight for Baron. What's stopping you from taking that down? I think
It's
the buff, the buff would have expired. But oh wait, no, yeah, it's not up. Damn it,
You've fallen for the classic.
I got season 15.
You did get season 15.
All right. Well,
at least we got a minion engage. That's what you always want from an eco player. RosieLove
honestly,
is really on point this game.
Yeah, I don't love the flash. I know that that's where his team was responding, but honestly, a nice juke from Xiaohu as 4 melee minions. If you're a pro player, you should be counting those up with a Nico in the game. Saw that one of those was a fake and was able to actually walk under the Pop Blossom, which got him out. That's pretty important for him. So, yeah, I got to say, at this point of the game, too, Ultra Prime, I don't talk about this a lot, I mean, at this level of play, but they're down to resources. Like the Galio and the Silas have been grouping a lot, and they're pretty far behind where Weibo's solo laners are now. So that's where we see the gold deficit, and I'm curious when it starts to really bite them.
The biggest one being Xiaohu, who is up nearly over 1,500 gold on his own, contributing almost holistically to the gold lead that Weibo is still clung to despite all of the events. Ultra Prime do not have the Otacon revive. Nobody, or I guess only one Zhang got to use it in the top side. They're now stacking and trying to knock down that last tier 1 turret.
Yeah, still impressive for Ultra Prime, and frankly, like already at this point of the series, Ultra Prime is playing this series better than what we thought going in. Like most of us were saying 3-0 Weibo. I was saying 3-1 because it's simply an LPL matchup, and you never know what can happen. So far, Ultra Prime's been playing this real well, and the fight breaks out.
That was a hijacked depth charge onto Hong. It's a taste of his own medicine. They're not able to pick off the Weibo support. Xiaohu going to step up on his own. Light was not there. He's now sprinting his way towards mid lane to catch the wave as Hong does have a catch of his own, but Junhao, maybe not the target he wants, as he'll try and return to sender, and Heart breaks him to get the reset. Xiaohu trying to kite back Tian, pulled back in by the stolen Nautilus, and now Xiaohu has no more frontline breather, trying to hurdle under their own tier 1 turret, but it's more picks for Ultra Prime, and they're starting to corner and corral the solo lanes for Weibo. The Pop Blossom too low of his health bar for Xiaohu. He goes down. Breathe falls to Wako. It's only Light left up, and the light goes dim. Ace for Ultra Prime and a Baron turn as reward.
And we set up this series talking about jungle, support, teamwork, and how they were able to find engages. What happens there? Hong takes a fight that was a one-way trip to nothing, and Junhao finds the punish in the back half, able to get the resets onto Weibo. Clean wipe for Ultra Prime, and they take the Baron. I replay, I don't know what Hong's looking at here. I know this is the initial engage that we have. Hong does a nice job of disrupting this. They get something from the equalizer, but Breathe kind of fires it protectively, so RosieLove isn't affected when he gets Fates called out, and then Hong, looking here, I mean, there's nothing bad. You got Mountain Soul to get through.
Light's not
Tian's
here.
not in range to engage for this. Doesn't even want it. And then he flashes out, dies to Junhao. Tian does his best to try and interrupt, but then Junhao on this Viego, great Nautilus hook. And it really feels like Hong just out of position, taking an engage that was not good for his team. He gets caught, and that's all Ultra Prime needed to find the wipe.
And while all this is going on, Light, remember, was running up, caught the mid wave, and then because of how this fight expanded in the jungle, he had to walk the long way.
Yeah.
So by the time Light, this full damage MF, even gets to start dishing out, he's lost 2 of his teammates, watches the 3rd crumble. Really desync there from Weibo, and Ultra Prime continuing to punish in that pivotal window you talked about, Cubby, if they want to win this game.
And they're set up really well now with this Baron. They're going to get so much standing gold on the map, and also will have the Baron empowered waves for this Elder Dragon to spawn. So Ultra Prime looking like they can take this series to a 1-1 draw. At this point, they're favored in this game, and Weibo, they need more than just time at this point. They're going to need Ultra Prime to make mistakes.
Do have the tier 3 boots coming through to add to the scaling factor. It is important to remember that you gotta love the Victor MF versus the Silas Kalista if this one starts to go pretty late.
Yeah, I think the big thing, though, right now, we have a Elder Dragon spawning here in 15 seconds. Ultra Prime took a really late reset for this, so they're not in position to like pressure the objective, but they're also not in position to stop Weibo from getting in. Big thing on my screen, though, I'm looking at, no flash for Xiaohu. There is no flash, though, for the top side of Ultra Prime, especially important on Junhao, as we've seen how important that first reset is in fight. So for me, a lot of eyes on the Viego, and to see if RosieLove and Junhao can one more time sync up and find a good engage.
Not the greatest equalizer. Tian and Xiaohu are able to just walk that one off as Hong goes for another hook that might just cause his demise. Not in position to go for these plays is Hong, as he is hung out to dry, and it might just really force the Elder issue for Ultra Prime. There we go.
Nautilus moment, man. You're behind. You got no stats, and Hong's in a couple spots that he shouldn't be in, and Ultra Prime is punishing.
They have Ren Smite power, so Tian should have no shot at the steal. He's going to get close enough, but if they time it up right, it should be Elder for Ultra Prime. Bullet time's coming across. Pop Blossom from RosieLove is fantastic once again, and with the Elder act accented, we are done and dusted with Game 2. Another flawless ace, and Ultra Prime are up 1-1 to shock Weibo Gaming.
Dude, Ultra Prime came to play today, man. Like, Game 1, I don't know if we were really excited enough for what that game was. Kind of my fault, because I was calling out the Ambessa was going to be a game breaker later on. That was the case. But, man, this game, Ultra Prime, they were down 6 grubs. But they stuck to their guns, took these dragons. And RosieLove and Junhao did a great job of opening up space for their carries with some of these engages. Shout out to Wonjung as well. Really sound on the Galio. What was a good game for them. Called it out going into this one, Slayer. If there's any draft that Ultra Prime can try and take a win, I thought it was this one. And they did so successfully.
They did it so successfully. They did quicker than Weibo did in their game 1 win, I believe. So, Ultra Prime
time points.
Yeah, time points, man. I'm gonna have to like get an extra notepad out here on my second.
No, we should stop counting these. I'm just doing it as a joke now. We're just trying to get to you, you know.
We're having fun with it. Ultra Prime's having fun. Weibo in a position now that they might not have expected, but I am just so I'm happy to see that RosieLove's form. You know, we talked about it, Cubby. We keep harping on it. Demacia Cup can either, you know, define how your split's going to look, or you can, you know, make something of it, reform, reinstate. And we've now seen RosieLove have a pretty good Braum game. And now when we really want to see how he played on those engaged champions, the champions that he had some low light moments. That Nico, I mean, I don't think LPL's, you know, voters are going to give RosieLove the MVP. I think he's the MVP for these Pop Blossoms.
Who do I give MVP for this game, actually? That's a good question. Honestly, I might give it to RosieLove. I think that I would have to go with Junhao, though. I don't think that he necessarily gapped his opponent the most. I thought Tian was okay in that game, but him getting the ball rolling in a lot of these fights and also just consistently denying the blue buffs away, like he was getting some counter jungling in against Tian. I thought it was a good look for Junhao, a player that I was asking for even after last game, that I needed to see more from in this early season, and Junhao showed some of it there. It was a really solid game from him. He played that Viego very cleanly.
Something we were also worried about from draft, this light MF, it just did not ever get in position to really be effective. It started from that level 1 dive where you're blowing summoners. You called it out in that second fight, right? They're not protecting the MF without summoners, and these bullet times, the thing that really make the MF, they weren't there. They weren't there for me.
Yeah, I mean, frankly, this is going to get like a little bit weird. I think it might have been time for like a Tristana bot game that time around, because the matchups that you want into Kalista, Ashe and Varus are both off the table, so Kalista already goes up in priority. And then you kind of have to pick MF because you can't pick Kai'Sa because you're already showing too much magic damage with both the Rumble and the Victor. Tristana's kind of an old-school matchup against it because you get to throw the E on Kalista's head. It doesn't really matter if you're hop, skipping, and jumping around because between that and the slow you get from Trist W, if you do want to all-in, it's enough, and you outscale. I think that what might have been a better answer and would have actually been really good in that game with already what was showing, but also what ended up showing in the end. Just having the ability to rocket jump out of some of these engages, which proved to be deadly, not just for Light, but for all Weibo Gaming in this.
Well, we're going to see at the highlights that start out with Light just getting caught. Xiaohu, once again, just dominating over his lane
Yeah.
opponent. I mean, he was up 30 CS levels,
Yeah.
but it wasn't enough this game.
That's a concern for Ultra Prime moving forward. I know that Saber has played 2 melee into range matchups, but this matchup he was a little bit too far behind. And unfortunately for Ultra Prime, you're not going to get hung to have a tough game on Nautilus again, because of course this is Fearless Draft, so can't happen. Nautilus off the table.
Worried about those hook champions into the Nico. Worried about the hook syndrome that happens. You know, land the hook, you're going. Just like Leona and Nautilus, very much so in the parent. We threw up the graphic, you know. This is a very big matchup for a guy like RosieLove into a player of Hong's caliber, and so far through 2 games, he has either been even or really overmatched what Hong has been able to show.
Hong's not been on so far today. I think that like we saw a really bad whiffed engage in game 1 that led to first blood on himself. And this game saw him take some very questionable engages on the Nautilus. Meanwhile, RosieLove, lost the Braum game, but we thought was relatively on point. And this time around, RosieLove nothing but on point and helping his team win. And I mean, we're talking about him being an MVP potentially for this game. So really, really, really sound game from RosieLove and Ultra Prime. And again, really impressed. I mean, this is one of the first games that we've seen where Otacon A gets traded, and then that team didn't end up using it that well, but came back and won. And so far, it's been Mountain Soul that's been 2-0 today.
Also, Voracious Otacon. If I'm not. Oh, no. No, I think Ultra Prime got in both games. Never mind. Yes.
They did. So
splitting it. So much to track now, you know.
Mountain Soul 2-0.
Yep.
Otacon 1-1. Feats of Strength.
Or it was Hextech Soul game 1. No?
1-1. Yeah, it was, but still Soul's 2-0.
Oh, Soul 2-0, yeah.
Yeah, Soul's 2-0. Well, was Feats of Strength 1-1? Because Weibo got it there?
Elder's 2-0. Weibo,
as it should be. You know?
Yeah. Feats of Strength is 1-1. Elder is 2-0.
Based on our 2-game sample size, everyone is freaking out about the new additions to League this season, you know? It just doesn't matter.
What does matter is where this MVP vote is coming, as I am once again just outclassed in the dress-up from our awesome LPL casters nonetheless. But I'm preaching for the RosieLove.
Is it a Wako? Maybe a sneaky Wako? It's definitely not Saber. I feel like Saber's been kind of gapped in his first 2 games, but that's the one answer I can give. It's not Saber. I'm actually kind of curious to where this one goes. I can make a case for Junhao too. I really could.
It's RosieLove.
Yeah, all right, it's RosieLove. Okay, let's go. They got it right. They got it right.
They're giving the love over to this Nico. I mean, the stats back it up. Nearly 80% kill participation, 2-2 and 16 on the champion as well. RosieLove really needs to forge his path here, make a case for what he can be as a support in the LPL, and it is impressive. Ultra Prime making a case for a team to take a lot more seriously, and it only brings up the excitement for us, Cubby, because our best of 5 has now virtually turned into a best of 3.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're at least getting more than 3 games here. Looking forward to that, and hopefully we just keep on seeing good things out of Ultra Prime. Again, they've really surprised me today. They've come out swinging a lot more than I thought they would, and excited to see if this means that we have a good series to wrap things up, and not just a Weibo, bouncing back and really locking in from here. Because, frankly, again, I thought this draft from Ultra Prime was really sound. The Kalista Nico with Galio over the top into the Rumble Victor pairing early off the bat. I did not like that opener to the draft from Weibo, and it ended up showing in the end. Great Galio pick. The Kalista was already there for good prio, and they stuck to the guns in the Dragon and ended up being really good. So, again, props to Ultra Prime. They've come out swinging a lot better than what I thought it would be today.
Props to Ultra Prime. Props to everybody still hanging out with us in the chat as we continue our LPL coverage on the unofficial English broadcast. We're going to take a moment to rest as we have a lot of games ahead of us. Game number 3 draft, Weibo side selection coming your way after a few messages. Stay with us.